This is a bearing that I'm pretty sure you've never seen before. At least I hadn't before I started making puzzles, and it's called a thrust bearing. The reason why I'm using it in this case is I needed to have a bearing that could surface mount. And to try and explain why that's the case or exactly what I mean is a little bit difficult without showing you exactly what this piece is used for. But just know there's many different types, but this is the only type that would have worked for my use case. But putting them together is pretty simple. It comes with a top and a bottom race, and it comes with a ring of bearings. And you can imagine it like a bearing sandwich. In this case, the tolerance was actually a really big pain to try and get right, as I needed the top race to be pushing perfectly against the layer above, but not enough that there's a gap that you can notice, but just enough that it has enough of a gap that the bearing will still spin. I hope that makes sense. Like I said, it's a little bit hard to explain, but you can see here, this is the lubrication that I use for almost all of my bearings, and it sort of serves two purposes. One, it's super clear, so if it was to squeeze out or leak out, it won't actually cause any marks. And when you're printing with things like PLA, any sort of black oily material will absorb into the PLA and you can never get it off. So it was important for me to have clear, but the other reason is that oxidization is a real thing. And a lot of these bearings are stainless steel, but with enough weathering and enough time outside and humidity, they definitely do get tarnished. So in this case, it fixes that problem. And the third thing is it obviously makes the bearing a lot smoother to turn. So it's a win-win-win. But you can see here, I go through and put it together, and you can see just a little bit of tolerance on top there if you look really carefully. But I'm coming towards the end of the stack that I needed for the day, which is really great. It doesn't take too long to put these together, but there's definitely a lot of bearings across all the puzzles. But I'll have to show you a little bit more about it next time. See ya. Bye.